Hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. Peter Vexelman here, and I got Julie Muse on the other side. How are you, Julie?
Doing awesome. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday Night Live. We got some great stuff for you today. Today, we're going to talk to you specifically about how to identify values of properties, as-is values, ARVs. We're going to talk to you about how to put that information together, how to correctly interpret it, right? Because it's not just a matter of putting it together, it's understanding good deal, bad deal, deal, no deal. So we're going to talk to you guys about that. So sometimes we have these webinars and I tell you, I'll just say, hey, sit back, relax, enjoy. You're going to hear a great story. You're going to hear something that it's going to inspire you, that's going to move you forward. Today's one of those days you may want to take some notes, okay? Because today we're going to use some actual numbers. We're going to use some actual examples. Today you will actually walk away really knowing how to do a very important part of real estate, and that is understanding, hey, what am I looking at? Am I looking at something that does make sense? Or am I looking at something that does not make sense? Having said that, I'm sitting here scratching myself. I was literally just walking my dog 10 minutes ago, and I'm talking on the phone. I kid you not. I'm talking on the phone, and I can't figure out this incredible pain I'm experiencing. And I look down, and I'm literally standing in an anthill. And I had become part of the anthill because there was just as many ants on me as there was on the ground. I've never experienced anything like that. I don't even know why I'm talking to you about it. So I've been in like battle in the last 10 minutes, but I am alive. I am well. I'm glad you guys are here. It's amazing. It was a dreary day here, Julie, but man, sun is out in Atlanta right now.
Well, I tell you, at my house, it's not. It was a crazy day. I was in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee over the weekend, and through today, my niece turned 12 and we took her to a indoor water park there. So it was a good weekend. But as everybody's jumping on, hey, let us know exactly where you're from. We're already seeing people popping on. Vitali from Portland, Oregon. Hey, one of our newest members, Brad Woods from Marietta, Georgia. So excited to have you on the Partner Driven Max team. Looking forward to working with you. We've got Eugene from Chicago, Illinois. Michael from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hey, someone said put apple cider on those bites. Somebody else says you got to put tea tree oil on there.
Well, and I appreciate it. That is the power of having a team around you. That is the power of having people around you. I think I'm okay now. I think it was mostly shocked that like, what the heck is going on here? Because I walk Scout, our dog, on the exact same route every single day. But having said that, I really do appreciate it. We're going to get started here in just a minute or so. Again, we are glad you guys are on. We here at Partner Driven have been extremely busy. We got a lot of things happening, a lot of really good things happening. It's just amazing that, we're here at Partner Driven. We basically work with people and we partner with them. And usually the growth, or at least everybody thinks the growth is like you take a new partner and you help them grow. And sometimes people forget that even at our stages, years and years into the business, we're still growing. We're still inventing and reinventing ourselves. We are still celebrating people's successes. We are still coming up with more innovative ways of how we can help our partners do deals and do deals quickly. I'll tell you, Julie, I know you guys can't see this, but this text I was just having with Miss Patricia from Florida. So you're telling me we already did 3 deals with her.
We're working on our 4th, and okay. We got another one that we started with 3 months ago that was in probate, but it's about to be out of probate. So we're about to be working on that one too.
Well, the one we're working on right now, it's a rehab, pretty major rehab. And I loved Miss Patricia from the day she got into it. She just had the sweetness, the determination in her. I was actually so excited when she did the first 1 or 2 deals. I wanted to personally come over there and give her half her profit. She was busy. She literally blew me off. So she was just texting me. He's like, Pete, next check, you're coming over. So next check, I'm heading over there and giving it to her. And I say this because I was just talking to somebody earlier today, Julie. A couple hours ago. And I mean, you and I both celebrate wins all the time. And we love closing deals. For us to sit here and tell people, it's not that big of a deal, that'd be a lie. But man, I was just sharing with some people here a little bit ago, how exciting it is to close a deal, but close it with a partner, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's incredible, and when you're talking about celebrating wins, a lot of people say, don't celebrate a win in real estate until you close a deal. Have you guys ever heard that? Like, don't celebrate it until it's closed. Because let me tell you, after doing all the deals we've done, not every deal closes. But as I've been this for a little bit, really, the most important thing you could ever do is celebrate every win there is. And maybe you might look at it differently than me, but as somebody with a little bit of a competitive personality, I believe celebrating every win you have is a big deal. So guys, if you're out there, celebrate your wins. So if you're making your first phone call to a seller, celebrate that. If you made your first appointment, celebrate that. If you get your first deal under contract, celebrate that. Because this is a business where a lot of times you feel a little bit lonely out by yourself. And I promise you, celebrating the wins will help you move further and further and further. And to this day, I celebrate every appointment, every contract, whether I close or not. So, and you're right, that is gratefulness to everything that, that I've learned over the years. And speaking about Patricia, I'm going to talk about a different conversation that we had today. So Peter calls me today and she goes, so have you guys ever heard about the gentleman Seth that does a bunch of deals? I know a lot of you have. So she's like, no, Peter calls me and he goes, well, is Patricia like Seth? And I'm like, absolutely not. She's nothing like Seth. She's nothing like Seth. She's actually probably the opposite of Seth. But I'll tell you one thing that makes her very successful is she's a very humble individual. She has an authoritative demeanor about herself. So like when she says something, I mean, I believe everything she says. I take that as from years and years of being in law enforcement. I believe you develop those things. But guys, as we had that conversation today, I started thinking, nobody needs to put themselves in a box to be like somebody else. Because no matter what life experiences you have, you don't have to be like anybody else. You all have strengths. I mean, it really don't matter what your background is. As long as you're a genuine individual, people know that. And that is truly the key to being successful when you're talking to sellers. And in my opinion, getting deals under contract is it's being a genuine individual, right? I don't know, maybe you guys can tell, but I can tell to an extent if somebody's being genuine with me or not. Can you, Peter?
No question. We're in a people business. And from our end, we've talked to so many people. I, like Julie, feel like I have a pretty good knack for it. But it's also very important from each of our standpoint that when we go out there and we put deals together and we talk to sellers and we talk to other members of this business, that we come across genuine also. Because I could tell you one thing, and this is not the topic for tonight. Matter of fact, we better get on the topic for tonight. I could tell you one thing. All day long, I'd rather talk to somebody who's genuine than who's not genuine. Somebody that I feel good about as opposed to I feel not good about. Somebody that I feel is kind as opposed to someone that I feel is mean. And so we all know which side of the equation each and every one of us rather end up on. But aside from that, I promise you, whichever side of the equation you truly do end up on, that's how you perceive to the world. So Julie's absolutely right. All right, well, having said that, let's get rolling. So once again, my name is Peter Vexelman. On the other end is Julie Muse. Julie and I have been together for just a little bit over 10 years. And what we are, if somebody were to stop us in the street, is we are real estate investors. When we initially met, we met from through my real estate investment company, and we had an incredible run in the real estate investing business, did a ton of deals, developed a very mature, a very sophisticated, a very profitable real estate investment company. We expanded that investment company beyond just our borders here in Atlanta. I think our first setup was in Jacksonville. We then set, separate operations all the way up to Jackson and all the way up to California. And then we, went beyond our local borders, and we said, how do we really get big in this business? And we said, why don't we just work with everyday people across the United States that want to level up, that are coachable, that want to be successful in real estate investing business? Why don't we partner with them, and why don't we start doing real estate deals? And that now years ago was the initial beginning of what we call today the partner-driven real estate investing model. And what we do today, Julie and I and the team behind us, is we literally partner with people across the United States, whether it's somebody brand new or whether it's somebody who's done a number of deals already and looking to level up and get to the next levels. And we provide to them what we call the pillars of success. These are the essential components that everyone needs in order to be successful in real estate. Number one, knowledge. I don't think anybody ever built this business off the cuff, not successfully. Maybe here and there, a couple of deals, but this is not a business where you want to just kind of experiment with everything. And so you got to know what you're doing. So we deliver, and we literally over deliver on the coaching and mentoring, accountability side, and instruction side. So our partners have the ability to themselves become exorbitantly savvy as investors. Number two, we get involved in lead gen. Not only do we teach our partners the finer aspect of lead gen and marketing and all that, but we actually get involved with them and help them actually solidify legitimate deals right where they live. Number three, we provide technology. In today's world, pretty much in any industry, you need to have access to technology. We have an incredible app that we developed here called Deal Driven, and through Deal Driven, you could pretty much build your whole real estate investment business through it. You could pull lists, you could look at equity plays, you could look at in-house, in-state owners, out-of-state owners. You could identify pre-foreclosures, you could identify, you could skip trace to find out. I mean, literally from your phone, you could build your business. It's literally what we call business in a box. Next, we provide all the capital, to our partners. When we do deals, whether they're short-term deals or fix and flip deals, that's all on us. And then we put them in the market, sell it, and split the profits down the middle, 50-50. The local partner keeps 50%, we keep 50%. And that right there is the partner-driven model. Now, what we're here today to do is we're here to teach you guys what I consider to be a very important side of this business. And that is how to figure out values in terms of what am I looking at here, right? I could tell you, for those of you that have heard my story, know that when I started in this business, I took a lot of wrong turns. Like every wrong turn you could take, I took. I mean, literally, and ended up in a very bad financial situation, ended up in a very bad situation all the way across the board, really a situation that took me years down the road to literally recover from. But I could tell you one of the biggest reasons, there were multiple reasons why I ended up making the mistakes I did. One of the biggest ones is I literally did not understand how to determine values, how to look at comps, how to determine what something is worth. And that one little mistake. Now, trust me, I've made plenty of other mistakes then. I didn't understand how to do rehab. I didn't understand anything. But that one initial blunder on every single deal potentially could have prevented me from making all the other deals. Because this is what I tell people. Sometimes a deal you walk away from is the best deal you'll ever do. So had I walked away from those initial 6 deals that put me under, had I really understood how to determine values, because that's where it was started. It was misrepresented to me, the numbers. And because I did not truly understand the numbers and how to evaluate numbers and how to determine whether something was a good deal or a bad deal, that's what got me in the pathway to making that initial critical bad decision, buy or no buy. And I could tell you, I could even make the argument beyond that. If you make that initial decision correctly, it even allows you room for some error on some other decisions you have to make. But if you make that initial decision incorrectly, you can execute a brilliant deal. But a money loser is a money loser is a money loser. So that initial deal, that initial decision of understanding, let me for instance give you an example. And I know Julie's going to get into this. I still very clearly remembered riding around with Jeff. Jeff was the name of a realtor that we used. And there was a deal here on Moreland. I think it was on Moreland Avenue. And I remember looking at this house, and the house was selling for like, I can't remember, $300,000-$400,000. And we were literally inside a little subdivision working off Moreland Avenue. Moreland Avenue is like a huge drag, but off of it, there's some side streets, and there's actually a couple little subdivisions off of Moreland Avenue. So I remember being inside this little subdivision, not more than 40 or 50 homes, but remember, it was a subdivision, looking at this property. Now remember, I was brand new back then. I mean, I understood concepts, but I didn't understand reality, okay? And so I remember looking at this house, and I wanted to do it. Like, have you ever been there? If you're brand new in this business, right? You just like want to make things work, right? Because you know, the first step to making money is finding a deal, right? So everything takes over. Your emotions take over, excitement gets over, and at that point, you're very susceptible to wrong information, right? When you're the most susceptible to wrong information, when you get emotional, right? And when do you get the most emotional? When you're trying to do your first 1 or 2 deals, right? Because it's like you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. You could see, wow, I'm finally going to get that deal. I'm finally going to make that money. I'm finally going to have some options, right? And that is the most dangerous time of not knowing something. So we're sitting inside the subdivision. Jeff showed me this house. He's explaining to me the numbers working. Here's the purchase, here's the rehab, here's what we could sell it for. And, I didn't understand everything, but I just understood enough to ask him the next question. I said, Jeff, well, how do I know we can get whatever for it? And remember, I was brand new. I didn't understand rules of engagement. I didn't understand legit versus not legit. And I still remember Jeff and I getting into his car, and he driving outside of that subdivision, going down the street, not far, maybe half a mile, quarter of a mile. And he shows me a couple houses that were like, see, these homes are selling for this amount. And although it didn't feel 100% right, like, why did we leave? I talked my way into thinking, well, there's probably not something in there he could show me. There's probably nothing for sale there. Like, not realizing, well, maybe there was something for sale and just sold a couple of weeks ago, right? Not even wanting my mind to go there because I wanted to make the deal work. And so he showed me outside the subdivision comps, and Julie will get you in technicalities of what's legit and what's not legit. And bottom line is, I did a deal from day one I should have walked away from. It didn't matter how well at that point I would have executed the rehab, which, by the way, I didn't execute good. It didn't matter at that point how cheap my money was. It didn't matter at that point whether my closing attorney charged me $1,500 to close or $2,000 to close. None of that mattered. Right? None of that mattered. When you got a ship with no engine, it's crashing. And so what took me 6 months to find out, because it took me 6 months to execute the deal, was already predetermined on the front end by me not understanding how to correctly comp numbers out. And I can tell you almost across the board, I see this day in, day out. There's some basic fundamental mistakes I personally see people make when it comes to figuring out what these numbers are. Number one mistake, and again, this is all tied into emotion and wanting to make something work, right? Number one mistake, who are you getting your numbers from? I'll tell you another story. There are some islands off the coast of North and South Carolina. I mean, literally at the tip where North and South Carolina come together. There's some islands, they're called Oak Islands. And many, many years ago, started going there, went there 3, 4, 5 years in a row. And nobody knows about these islands. There's a chain of little islands. They're very secluded. And I fell in love with those islands. Enough to think, wow, maybe I should do some deals here. Because, come here every year, sometimes a couple times a year. And so what did I do? I called a local real estate agent, And here's what he heard me say. Hey, I don't live here. I don't know anything about this area. I really have no boots in the ground. Feel like I don't really understand anything about here. Oh, the reason I want to buy here is because I think the beaches are really cool and I like coming back here. You get the point? He heard everything he needed to hear to know that I didn't know what I was doing. And he started bringing me some deals. And within a couple of months, 4 or 5 months, I bought 5 properties there. And I bought every single property based upon the realtor. And I learned a very important lesson then. Don't ever, ever, ever get your numbers from whoever gives you the deal, especially if you don't know that person. One of the biggest mistakes I see investors make is getting their numbers from whoever that brings the deal to them. A flyer from a wholesaler, an agent, a seller trying to sell a property and telling them what it's worth. You never, ever, ever want to get numbers from the person that brings the deal, because what are you to them? You're a paycheck. You're just a paycheck. Now, it's okay to take the numbers in, but you always have to verify. And Julie will walk you through here in the next minute or so of how to actually verify things. Don't get emotions get in the way. Don't get your information from the person that brings you the deal, unless it's somebody like that we have in our circles that's been with us forever, that we've done tons of deals with, that we trust implicitly. But that takes time and multiple deals to develop. So don't get emotional. Don't get your numbers from the source that brings you the deal. And above everything else, as Julie walks you through to how to get these numbers, I will tell you this from my personal end: verify. Trust, but verify. Even yourself. I mean, there's places we've done multiple deals in that we still verify. Like there's places across the country that we have, some pretty decent, even here in Atlanta. I would never buy property based upon somebody bringing it. Well, I'm verifying it with a third party, another agent that I trust. Because things change, things evolve. Sometimes it's literally, and if you've done real estate, you know what I'm about to tell you, sometimes it's literally a block to block kind of a combat. You could be one block here at 100,000 and go 5 blocks here and you're at 120. And it's like, whoa, I just missed that by like 10 addresses. So don't get emotional. Don't get your numbers from the person that brings it to you, and trust, but verify everything and check and double check and triple check. So Julie, I'm going to flip it over to you. You're going to get a little bit more on the technical side of actually how to go about doing this, and talk a little bit about this. What are these comps and how do you get them and all that?
Peter, one way, and I'm going to show you guys how to pull some comps and how to look at some numbers here tonight. Oops, excuse me. But one way a lot of people get comps is they'll ask a realtor for a comp, right? You're like, okay, well, they're a licensed individual. They, went through real estate training. They passed the exam. So therefore, they're a licensed individual. So because of that, you want to believe everything that they have to say. Now, by the way, I truly, love licensed individuals. I love the job that they do, but there is one disservice that licensed individuals face whenever they're in the real estate business, is that they are not tested on their ability to comp properties. So based off of their recommendations, sometimes they could get you in trouble, just like with what Peter said. So for you to understand the important things that it takes to know what makes a comp is really important. Okay, so I'm going to share a few properties with you tonight. We're going to go through them individually, and I'm going to show you what are some of the things that we look for. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. And sorry for the lack of time this evening. I'm not going to be able to show you how I pulled these lists, how I came up with these addresses. You can watch some previous episodes for that. But let's just take, for instance, I want to show you how I can look at property values in a different location than me. So I'm in Georgia. I'm just going to go to, let's see, Chicago. This is a list that I pulled a little while back on some deals that I found in Chicago, or in that area. So let's just pick one. And when I'm looking at the comps of the property, utilizing deal driven, there's a few main factors. Number one, the main factor that I'm looking for is, Michael, what is a comp? A comp is a comparable. Okay, so there's two different types of comps, or a comparable. So you have what's considered an ARV, which is an after repair value, meaning you take a house, you fully fix it up, like you might, renovate the kitchen, renovate the bathrooms. And once you've done that, then there's a certain amount the property could sell for. Then there's another comp, which is an as-is value. And as-is value is, if I were to sell it just like it sits, what could I sell it for? Does that help, Michael? Just give me a yes in the chat, because I just want to make sure that I'm not going too fast for anybody. So let's say that I was going to buy this property here, on 327 Bensley Avenue. Okay. So I'm looking at Bensley Avenue, and the main things that I'm going to look at before I even look at properties that sold around it is this. I want to know the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the year built, the square footage. Okay. And it's not bad to look at the garages. So by looking here, I could tell this is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and with a partial bath. So what the difference between bathrooms and partial bathrooms? A full bath is always going to have a tub or a shower, or tub shower combo, a lavatory, and a sink. That's a full bath. A partial bath is going to be your sink and just your lavatory with no shower unit or no tub. Okay. So this house is a 1 bath with a partial bath, built in 1968 with 1,245 square foot. Okay. With a 2-car garage. So that's the main thing. So normally, if I'm looking here, and I'm going to need you guys to help me remember what we saw on this screen, because let's be honest, I'm getting a little bit older and my memory is not as good as they used to be. So we got a 3, 1.5 built in 68, 1,245 square foot. Now, when you're looking here at deal driven, I did not pick an easy property. So they're saying that the valuation of this property could be between 112 and 196. Do you guys think it's important to know the difference if your property could sell between 112 or 196? That's like the difference of losing your shirt or being extremely profitable. Well, there's another number here, which is estimated valuation. This comes from the National Title Service, and it's saying that they believe that the valuation of this property is 164 with 68% confidence in that number. Well, does that make me feel warm and fuzzy inside? No, it absolutely does not, because the numbers are all over the place. I would not use any of these numbers, but just because they're so far left and so far right. And this would be a situation to where if you took one of these without looking further, you could definitely get in trouble. So I want to go look into this a little further. So if you go here and we go to comparables, it's going to pull, it's going to pull different properties in Illinois in this area. Okay. So as I'm looking here, here's our subject property in green. Okay. What was the square footage again on this property? I believe it was 1,246, 1,296. So within these properties are within 100 square foot of the same amount of that particular property. So I would say probably this 1330 is very comparable to this home. Okay, so I want to go look at these individually. Another thing I want to show you guys is, do you see the streets here? And do you see, I don't even know Chicago. I can literally tell by just looking at the map. You see this Sibley Boulevard. This looks to me to be a main road, this Highway 83. Property values literally change street by street and neighborhood by neighborhood. Anytime you're seeing comparables on the other side of a major road, that's something that concerns me. But nothing pulled up for this one. But check this one out. This property over here on the end, it has a different city name. It's on the very other side of State Street. I'm not sure if that's a major road or not, but I can tell by just looking at the map that I really want to look at these three addresses right here. Okay. So as I'm looking at these three addresses here, here, and here, do you guys see these property values? This 3-in-1 at 1,390 square feet. It's almost 100 square foot bigger than that subject property. Sold in July for $98,600. Well, that's this one. This one sold for $114,000. This one sold for $88,000. Guys, if you would have looked at this property through any other resource on your own, did y'all see where it said that the high price of this property would be $199,000? Did y'all see that? I mean, when an appraiser goes out to look at a house, they are only going to look at what's sold recently that's similar to this house. So if somebody would have told you on this house, this house could ARV after repair value at $199,000, whoo, you'd be in big trouble on this deal. Okay. So I'm wanting you to see, now we're not done yet, guys, on this property. So I'm going to remember these properties for a minute here. So I'm going to pull up something here for just a second, and I'm going to copy and paste these addresses because I'm going to go look at every one of these. All of these sold utilizing the MLS, okay? You'd be amazed what you can find on your own. So I'm going to take this one property on Bensley Avenue. It sold for $88K. I'm going to take the other Bensley Avenue that sold for $114,000. Now I'm going to take Hoaxie Avenue. And it sold for, I don't know, average 99. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share with you this little thing that I made. So now I've went here and I've got my three properties that sold next to this particular property. Okay. So average, if you were to take these properties and run your comparables on these 1, 2, and 3, this will automatically give you an average of what properties around here have sold for. So it's averaging out at $100,000, right? Now I want to take you back to this. So this is an algorithm. Anything you see here, valuation max, valuation minimum, estimated valuation, these are algorithms. Zillow, Realtor.com, all of these people or these companies run off algorithms. So if you were to use this, Peter, and a realtor was to say to you, go back 20 years ago and say, Peter, you could have bought this house in Chicago, this 1.5 bath house, and it could sell for $196, because that's what like tools that I have as a real estate agent, and you bought this house for, let's say 100, put 20 into it, you would have thought that to be a good deal.
Mhm.
Do you see, guys, how you could lose $100,000 on a deal by not looking at properties that are similar to this one that actually sold? Algorithms are not people. Another thing I want you to keep in mind, inside of a neighborhood, there are also, by the way, guys, hang with me because we're still not done comp this property. Inside of a neighborhood, there's other things that matter. Me and Brian, my husband, what was it, like a week and a half ago? We went to look at a property over here in Cumming, Georgia, Peter. And what I do before I ever go to an appointment is I wrote down the recent sales in that neighborhood. And I'm thinking, whoo, I have got a deal today because they agreed to 250,000. These houses are selling for 375. So of course I get in my car, my truck, and we drive over there, and I had all intentions of putting this house under contract. Guess what happened when I got over there? They had the smallest house in the neighborhood. The exterior of the house was siding, and all of the houses that sold for that higher amount of money were 2-story houses of brick. There's a big difference between a brick house and a regular siding house. There's a big difference between stucco and brick and siding, depending on where you live. So when you're going on appointments, always take down what the recent sales are in that area and make sure you are literally comping apples to apples. And also the neighborhood beside it, before I ever went to the appointment, I drove the neighborhood beside it. You know why? There were houses in the neighborhood that backed up to this neighborhood that were selling for 500,000. Completely different houses, completely different neighborhoods. Had I not known to go drive and look at these properties, you would have convinced me that this house would be worth $400,000 based off of an algorithm of averages. Okay. Now, for a fairly new licensed individual, when they go inside the MLS, they pop an address in. And what comes out is that what they call a CMA. A CMA is a comparative market analysis. Okay. So it's a system that does algorithm of recent sales, similar square footage, all of that. That CMA told me that same house was worth $400 and something thousand. It was not. That house's ARV could barely be 295. Okay. So you've got to know the building structure, the age of the home, the square footage, and where it's located. Now, let's get back to our subject property. Okay. I know we're going into a lot of stuff tonight, but I'm not done yet. You really also need to go to auxiliary websites if you're looking for the value of this house. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the handy dandy Zillow. Okay. Why as an investor, why would you think that I'd want to look at Zillow? Put it in the chat. Why do you think I'd want to look at Zillow? Yep, definitely property values for one. Why else? Anna, ding, ding, ding. You're right, because that's what your sellers are looking at. You need to know what you're going into bat with. If the seller sees something on Zillow in their mind, that's the concrete answer for what that property's worth, right? So if you are going to be knowledgeable and know the valuation of a property, you better know what Zillow and Realtor.com have to say. Hey, Pete, can you see Zillow here for me?
I can.
Okay. So now I'm going to take my subject address, which is Bensley Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, or I think it was Calmet. Not sure if I'm saying that incorrectly. Calmet City, Illinois. You're going to see other things on here, okay? We're going to see some other recent sales. We're going to see a Zestimate. Zestimate, again, is based off of what? It's an algorithm of recent sales in the area. So even Zillow's telling you it's between 115 and 166. Are those close enough numbers to make a decision on whether you'd buy a house or not? No, no, absolutely not. So I'm going to show you some other features. So what this is doing is this is going here and it's giving you recent sales of similar square footages. Okay. You're seeing this house for 140. This one's on Bensley Avenue, sold for 143 months ago. But look what it's comparing it to. This one on Bensley Ave had a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Ours is a 3, 1.5. This one on Oglesby Ave, you see this one that sold for 136. Okay, that's pretty similar, right? It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. So is this one that's 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Well, now you have to take it even a step further. Okay. Let me go look at Oglesby Ave that I think is very similar to this house, which is number 2, which is right here. So when I go to Oglesby, one thing about Zillow, Realtor.com is they aggregate from the MLS. So when you're seeing, whenever a realtor puts pictures online, it's going to pop up in here. I can tell by just looking here, this house is fully fixed up and renovated. Just waiting for my internet to catch up with me. Okay. This house sold for 136. Okay. Well, if you look at the pictures here, look, check this out. Does that not look brand new and modern to you? Look at the cabinets, look at the backsplash. Look at the walls. They staged this beautifully. Look at the bathrooms. It's fully renovated, new floor, new paint, new everything. Okay. So when you're looking at the ARV as opposed to the as is, even looking at the recent sales, now I'm going to look at the other properties I saw that sold. I'll tell you, they weren't fully fixed up. On this house in Calmet, Illinois, I would say your ARV on this is about 135 to 140 if it looks beautiful like this one. Do you know how much money it cost in tile work, cabinets? These are brand new toilets, brand new floors. I mean, to take a house from 1965 to get it to this could be every bit of $60,000. So whenever you are looking at comps, guys, and this is not something you are going to learn overnight, but everybody's going to understand this. You've got to compare apples to apples. A 4 and 2 does not match a 3 and 1. Okay. A fully fixed up house does not compare to something from 1970. And you've got to understand what it costs to actually get something to that standard. Okay. So I utilize every one of these tools to determine what the possible ARV is. Now, I had went to a different service and thought, oh, this thing could sell for 200,000 because these other ones down the road sold for 200,000. You could literally be off by 55 grand just on this particular property. Okay. So I want to go over it one more time if everybody's okay with that. Here are the major things you should look for whenever you are comping a property or checking your as is or your after repair value or your CMA, okay, from a realtor. Number one, beds and baths need to be similar. Square footage needs to be similar. Year built needs to be similar. Sometimes it even matters the acreage. Like where I live, having 5 acres it makes a big difference as opposed to having a half an acre. 5 acres of land with a house could be worth another 125,000. There's a lot of properties here that are 5 acre plots, not half acre lots. Making sure it's in the same neighborhood. And then once you even get in the neighborhood, making sure that the finishings are the same, whether it's brick, whether it's stucco, whether it's siding. Okay. So be very, very careful whenever you're looking at comps and you're making buying decisions that you know what's sold. The more recent that it's sold in that particular area, the better the comp is. Like right now, what you guys are seeing is something really crazy. You are seeing, as the months go by, property values go up. Are y'all seeing that? Things are selling more now than they were in January. Okay? Right? People are paying more now than they were in January. Absolutely. Guess what? That is not a normal thing. And I personally, and nor should you, be in this business for a short period. So you also want to look at the date of the recent sale. That could make something go way up or way, way down. Okay. So you want to look at something within the last 3 months if possible. All right. So I hope this little thing helped you a little bit, at least helped you think about some of these things. But the best way that you can learn to do this is to practice. Take a house that you're not even looking at buying and figure out how much you think it would sell for. Perfect practice makes perfect. Okay. You don't have to be working on a deal to understand these things. You can work on these now with a make-believe house, because you certainly don't want to make this mistake on your first deal. Okay. Now, Paul says in Utah, they put a price on a house and take the highest bid over appraisal. Absolutely. Right now is a very bullish market. People are paying above asking prices. Okay. Once they close on the MLS, which is the multiple listing services, and this is everywhere, Paul, it's going to hit all of these other websites. MLS aggregates to realtor.com, Zillow, and all these things. So whenever something is sold, it is updated, which is going to drive the prices up. You will see that whenever you're pulling these comps, okay? So, but you want to be wary of that, whether you're in a bullish market or whether it's a buyer's market. One or the other. You need to make sure you look at these. I would even go down to the point I would look at every sold house in that neighborhood and see what type of finishings are in there. Okay? Because you never want to overdevelop a house. You never want to be the biggest and the best in the neighborhood. If you're the biggest and the best in the neighborhood, you probably overdevelop the home. You want to be somewhere right in the middle, which is the sweet spot. Right, Pete?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, guys, I always tell people that, like, when you break real estate down to like a deal, really what deal is, it's a multiple of decisions. You know, do you buy? Do you not buy? Do you use this money? Do you use this money? Do you flip? Do you fix and flip? Do you do this size renovation? Do you do this size renovation? But it all starts with what Julie taught tonight. Do you even have a deal worth considering? And how do you know if you have a deal worth considering? So we hope you got something out of tonight, because this is important. If you don't understand how to even make a decision whether or not to move forward or not, you could spend a lot of time doing what a lot of people do in this business, running around like chickens with their heads cut off and having nothing to show for it because you're spending your time with the wrong deals. Deals from the go, where you could literally just pop on a website like Julie taught today and realize right away, this is not even a deal that I need to be pursuing because the numbers are so far off. So this is what we do with Partner Driven. We teach these types of things to our partners. We help them with lead gen. We provide all the capital. Some of you guys are partners here tonight, and we're glad you guys are here. Hopefully this gave you a chance to level up in how you evaluate deals. Some of you guys have been joining us for a little while, and you're here because you're ready hopefully to make a decision. Or maybe you need a little bit more information. So we have some key team members on standby if you want to start pursuing what it means to be a partner, or maybe even get started as early as tonight. We have some key team members on standby at the following phone number. If somebody could put that into chat, 770-746-8585. That's 770-746-8585. But whether you're a partner or hopefully a future partner or just along for the ride, I know I learned some stuff today. I hope you did too, but it's not a matter of just learning. It's a matter of implementing. So the best thing you could do is take the information we gave you today, go make some calls to sellers, go implement this thing, go execute this thing, and let's go get a deal together. So I'll let Julie sign off, but on behalf of myself, Julie, and everybody that's here making all this happen, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys are here, and I will be here, hopefully along with Julie, same time, same place next week. Julie?
Yep, same here too. For all of you partners out there, join me in the morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for my favorite Fun with Numbers, where we're going to go over this. We're going to go over what numbers we should be getting deals under contract, and you can ask questions live. That's the most beautiful thing about being a partner, is we're there for you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, for different topics all the way across the board. But either way, have a beautiful night, guys. See you later. Go get some deals. Get off your butt. Let's make it happen. Bye.
Bye-bye.